Lesson 41. Memories. I'm trying to think of my earliest memory. I vaguely remember a little bit, not in much detail, when my brother was born. I was around 3 years old at the time. But I distinctly remember my first day of kindergarten when I was around 5. When I look at photos, even more memories come flooding back. Memories come to mind. I remember my school, my classmates, and my teacher, who would constantly remind us to clean up the classroom because we were always making a mess. I'd completely forgotten the teacher's name, though, and my mother had to refresh my memory, remind me of a fact I'd forgotten. I still have a lot of my toys from when I was a kid. They bring back fond memories, pleasant memories, of long afternoons spent playing with my brother. I also remember a family vacation to Switzerland when I was about 8. That was an unforgettable experience. My most traumatic memory is of my uncle dying in a car crash when I was 10. He was only 32 years old, younger than my dad, and the memory of the funeral still haunts me. The sad or profound memory stays with me. I still wear a bracelet that was a Christmas present from him. It serves as a sobering reminder. It provides a serious reminder not to take a single day of life for granted. Unfortunately, I have a terrible memory for people's names, unless the name is unusual or particularly memorable. Just the other day I was talking to an acquaintance from church, and my mind went blank. I couldn't think of anything when I tried to think of her name. I racked my brain, tried hard to remember something, but nothing came to mind. My husband gently reminds me that I really need to pay more attention, because it makes a bad impression when I call people by the wrong name. Now listen and repeat to practice your pronunciation of the collocations about memories. Vaguely remember. Distinctly remember. Memories come flooding back. Constantly remind. Completely forgotten. Refresh my memory. Bring back fond memories. An unforgettable experience. Traumatic memory. The memory haunts me. Serves as a sobering reminder. A terrible memory. Particularly memorable. My mind went blank. I racked my brain. Came to mind. Gently reminds me. Makes a bad impression. Now take the quiz to practice the collocations about memories. Lesson 42. Agreeing and disagreeing. When you agree with someone completely, you can say, "I totally agree," or "I strongly agree." Another way to describe 100% agreement is to say a person agrees wholeheartedly. On the other hand, you can say, "I agree up to a point," if you agree with part of the person's opinion but disagree with another part. Another expression is, "I agree in principle," if you agree with the idea but not with the practical application. Avoid the common error of saying, "I'm agree." The correct phrase is, "I agree," more informally, or "I'm in agreement," more formally. We can say that two people share an opinion or share a view if they have the same perspective. But if there are differences, then we call this a difference of opinion. If the difference of opinion is very big, then the two sides are said to be worlds apart on the issue. Hopefully, two people who think differently will be able to reach a compromise, agree on a fair solution, without having a heated argument, angry or intense argument about the issue. One polite way to express your disagreement is, "I'm afraid I disagree." You can also say, "I see your point," to communicate the fact that you understand the other person's idea or opinion. We call a small disagreement a minor or slight disagreement, and a big disagreement is a major or serious disagreement. It's easy to reason with the person who disagrees respectfully, but it's more difficult to settle a disagreement, resolve a disagreement, if the other person disagrees vehemently, with intense emotion and expression. If the conflict continues for a long time, it can be called a long-running dispute. And if it involves lots of angry and negative emotions, then it's a bitter dispute. If the two sides cannot agree to disagree, tolerate the other person's opinion despite disagreeing, then they may need the help of a third party to resolve the conflict. Now listen to and repeat the collocations about agreeing and disagreeing. I totally agree. I strongly agree. Agrees wholeheartedly. I agree up to a point. I agree in principle. Share an opinion. Share a view. A difference of opinion. Be worlds apart. Reach a compromise. A heated argument. I'm afraid I disagree. I see your point. A minor or slight disagreement. A major or serious disagreement. Disagrees respectfully. Settle a disagreement. Disagrees vehemently. A long-running dispute. A bitter dispute. Agree to disagree. Resolve the conflict. Now take the practice quiz to test your knowledge of the collocations about agreeing and disagreeing. Lesson 43. Beliefs and Doubts. When you strongly or firmly believe something, we can call it a deeply held belief or an unshakable belief. The latter phrase implies that it would be difficult to convince you to change your mind. It's possible to have a subconscious belief, a belief that you are not actively aware of. Your emotions can also color your judgment, influence your opinions or decisions. A lot of people believe in superstitions, irrational beliefs that have no basis in fact, like the number 13 being unlucky. Others have a blind faith, believe in something without thinking, in fate or destiny. When new evidence appears, it can either strengthen or reinforce your belief, make it stronger, or undermine or weaken your belief, make it weaker. When forming your beliefs, be careful about making assumptions, which can lead to erroneous conclusions. False beliefs held by many people are called common misconceptions. Scientists and other researchers often publish material to help dispel misconceptions, eliminate them. For example, contrary to popular belief, it's not harmful to go swimming immediately after eating. If you are completely sure about something, then you can describe it as beyond or without a shadow of a doubt. But sometimes doubts arise, or another person voices their doubts, thus making you reconsider. Maybe the doubts don't even come from a fact, but you just have a sneaking suspicion, a persistent feeling that casts doubts on things you previously assumed to be true. When you have a small doubt that persists and continues to bother you, this is called a gnawing, lingering, nagging, or niggling doubt. This might be an indication that it's time to rethink or re-examine your beliefs. After further consideration, you just might arrive at a different conclusion. Listen to and repeat the collocations about beliefs and doubts to practice your pronunciation. Strongly or firmly believe. A deeply held belief. An unshakable belief. A subconscious belief. Color your judgment. Believe in superstitions. Blind faith. Strengthen or reinforce your belief. Undermine or weaken your belief. Making assumptions. Lead to erroneous conclusions. Beliefs held. Common misconceptions. Dispel misconceptions. Contrary to popular belief. Beyond or without a shadow of a doubt. Doubts arise. Voices their doubts. A sneaking suspicion. Cast doubts on. A gnawing, lingering, nagging, or niggling doubt. Rethink or re-examine your beliefs. Further consideration. Arrive at a different conclusion. Now take the quiz to practice the collocations from this lesson. Lesson 44. Deciding and choosing. How do you make a decision? Do you make lists of pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, and carefully consider all the options? Or do you trust your intuition, listen to your deep and instinctive feelings, and then make a choice based on your feelings? If it's an especially tough decision, you might want to ask for advice from a good friend. After discussing the issue in depth, talking about it in a lot of detail, and listening to your friend's suggestions, you can choose to either take their advice, implement their advice, or ignore their advice. When you make a decision very quickly, we call it a snap decision. That's somewhat similar to a spur-of-the-moment decision, a decision made spontaneously, without very much thinking or planning. If you do this, then you might need to defend your decision against people who believe it was an arbitrary decision, one determined by chance or impulse, not by logic or principle. Some people remain undecided because they're afraid to make a costly mistake, a mistake with serious negative consequences. In this case, weighing the possible outcomes, analyzing the possible future results, can be helpful. Other people are always questioning themselves and having second thoughts, reconsidering or doubting your previous decision about the choices they've already made. Although it might seem attractive to keep your options open as long as possible, you run the risk of waiting so long that you end up having no choice, being limited to only one course of action. It's far better to develop sound judgment, the intelligent ability to decide things, so that you can make wise decisions, good and smart decisions, and be confident about them. Listen to and repeat the collocations about deciding and choosing. Make a decision. Pros and cons. Consider all the options. Trust your intuition. Make a choice. A tough decision. Ask for advice. Discussing the issue in depth. Take their advice. Ignore their advice. A snap decision. A spur-of-the-moment decision. Defend your decision. An arbitrary decision. Remain undecided. A costly mistake. Weighing the possible outcomes. Having second thoughts. Keep your options open. Having no choice. Sound judgment. Wise decisions. Now take the quiz to practice the collocations from this lesson. Lesson 45, Claiming and Denying. Read and listen to this news report about a corruption scandal in a large company. Randy Fisher, president of the software company Newtek, is facing accusations of fraud by its chief financial officer, Brian King, who has openly accused Fisher of hiding millions of dollars of profit in offshore bank accounts in order to avoid paying taxes. Fisher denies the allegations, says the accusations are not true, and clearly states that King has no evidence to substantiate his claims. Prove his claims are true or reasonable. However, in a leaked document, a secret document that was accidentally released to the public from the company's internal archives, Fisher heavily implies, says indirectly but strongly, that the company is in fact much more profitable than it appears on paper. Some journalists are now spreading the rumor, transmitting the comment, that these invisible funds were used to finance Fisher's recent real estate investments in Central America. According to King, Fisher wanted him to participate in the illegal financial scheme and became angry when King refused his offer. It is widely acknowledged, known by many people, that if Fisher were to resign, King would be the logical successor to the position of CEO. This has fueled speculation, created beliefs, that there may be an ulterior motive, a hidden reason for his accusations. Newtek's Public Relations Department has issued a statement affirming its total compliance with tax regulations. If indeed King's claims are unfounded, his claims have no basis in fact, then he will probably face legal action for unjustly and maliciously accusing Fisher, thus resulting in damage to his reputation. Listen to and repeat the collocations from this lesson. Facing accusations. Openly accused. Denies the allegations. Clearly states. Substantiate his claims. A leaked document. Heavily implies. Spreading the rumor. Refused his offer. Widely acknowledged. Fueled speculation. An ulterior motive. Issued a statement. Claims are unfounded. Unjustly and maliciously accusing. Now take the quiz to test your memory of the collocations about claiming and denying. Lesson 46. Liking and disliking. Read and listen to these three people talking about likes and dislikes. I'm a lifelong fan of U2. They're my all-time favorite band. In addition to the sheer enjoyment, pure pleasure, of listening to their music, I'm also a great admirer of Bono and his philanthropic work. He's concerned not only with the fleeting pleasure, momentary enjoyment, of fame and fortune, but also with making a difference in the world. I hold him in the highest regard, have great respect for him, for this reason. When my daughter was a baby, I noticed that she developed a particular liking for classical music, and when she was 6, I signed her up for violin classes. It was a real pleasure to see her obvious enjoyment of the lessons. She grew quite attached, strongly like or love over time, to her teacher, who says that she has the potential to turn her great love of music into a professional career. Now my daughter is 13, and lately she's expressed a clear preference for the most difficult pieces of music. She says she wants a challenge. I took an instant dislike to Sam from the moment we were introduced. Within 5 minutes he was talking about his deep dislike of foreigners, without knowing that my own parents were immigrants from Argentina. He said he had nothing but contempt, only hate, for people who abandoned their own countries to come to ours, and then began making horribly racist jokes and comments. I have no idea where Sam's blind or irrational hatred without a logical reason, of foreigners comes from, but he seems to have developed a strong aversion, developed an intense dislike, to interacting with anyone who's the slightest bit different from him. I try to be polite, but deep down I hate him with a passion, hate him a lot. Now listen and repeat to practice your pronunciation of the collocations in this lesson. A lifelong fan. All-time favorite. Sheer enjoyment. A great admirer. Fleeting pleasure. Hold him in the highest regard. Developed a particular liking for. A real pleasure. Obvious enjoyment. Grew quite attached. Great love. A clear preference. Took an instant dislike. Deep dislike. Had nothing but contempt. Blind or irrational hatred. Developed a strong aversion. Hate him with a passion. Take the quiz to practice the collocations about liking and disliking. Lesson 47. Praising and criticizing. When I told my family I wanted to be a professional musician, I faced a barrage of criticism, intense attack of negative comments, from my parents, who strongly disapproved of the idea. I'd had a feeling that they would only give their blessing, give their approval and support, to a more traditional career track. I countered their criticism, argued against their criticism, by pointing out that I'd rather follow my passion and enjoy my job than get rich working in a job I hated. Although they gave their grudging approval, angry and reluctant approval, to my enrollment in music school, I could tell by my father's frown of disapproval, disapproving facial expression, that he wished I'd study law or medicine instead. The only person who encouraged me was my aunt, who thinks the world of me, has great respect and admiration for me, and has always offered enthusiastic support for my hopes and dreams. She heartily approved, completely and sincerely approved of my plans and dismissed my parents' criticisms as ridiculous. My parents finally came around when I gave my first concert in Carnegie Hall to a standing ovation, when the audience stands up and claps for an extended period of time. The critics had given my show rave reviews, extremely positive evaluations, describing it as an outstanding performance, an excellent, superior performance. After seeing me on stage, my parents congratulated me warmly, congratulated me with love, and apologized for the scathing criticisms, very strong and hurtful criticisms, they had made in the past. Later, I heard them speaking highly of, saying good things about, my music to some of their friends. I had finally won their approval. Listen to and repeat the collocations about praising and criticizing to practice your pronunciation. A barrage of criticism. Strongly disapproved. Give their blessing. Countered their criticism. Grudging approval. Frown of disapproval. Thinks the world of me. Enthusiastic support. Heartily approved. Dismissed the criticisms. A standing ovation. Rave reviews. An outstanding performance. Congratulated me warmly. Scathing criticisms. Speaking highly of. Won their approval. Now take the quiz to put the collocations from this lesson into practice. Lesson 48. Metaphor. A number of words in English are used metaphorically, with the meaning that is not exactly the same as their literal meaning. Usually they apply a quality of one word to another word. For example, when we say that something is lightning fast, we are using the quality of lightning, which is almost instantaneous, to describe something that is extremely fast. Another example is the root of the problem. The literal meaning of the word root is the part of a plant or tree that is under the soil. The roots are what support and sustain the entire tree. Therefore, the root of the problem is the deepest, most basic or fundamental reason for the problem. Many metaphors are related to elements in the natural world, such as light and dark, water, fire, and plants. In this lesson, you'll learn 5 collocations in each category. Light and dark. If someone's face or eyes light up, it means that they suddenly get very happy or excited. You can also say someone's eyes are shining with delight. The expression lighten the mood means to make a depressing atmosphere or situation more relaxed and happy. On the other hand, if someone's face, eyes, or expression darkens, it means that they suddenly appear sad or angry. Dark days or dark times refer to periods of time that are bad or unpleasant, full of problems. Water. You can say that ideas are flowing or conversation is flowing to describe when it is proceeding easily and naturally. Water metaphors are often used to describe the movement of groups of people. You can say that people poured or streamed into the stadium to describe continuous movement of large groups of people, or that people trickled into the church when only a few people come occasionally. The expressions waves of disappointment or waves of sadness refer to strong feelings. Fire. A heated discussion or heated debate is one that is very intense, often with negative emotions like anger. If someone has a fiery temper, it means that when they get very angry and could possibly explode. There's also the expression tempers flared to describe a situation when people began to get angry. The verbs kindle and spark describe the act of starting fires. Kindle is usually used for starting positive things. Something can kindle interest, enthusiasm, or hope. And spark is usually used for starting negative things. Something can spark outrage or spark controversy. Plants. It's difficult for a plant to grow in soil that has a lot of rocks. So if something gets off to a rocky start, it means that it encountered many problems in the beginning. Thorns are the small, sharp growths that appear on some plants, such as roses. The expression, a thorny issue, describes a matter that is difficult, complicated, and possibly dangerous. The word blossom is used to describe when a flower appears and opens, revealing all its beauty. So if a romance or friendship is blossoming, then it is developing in a beautiful way. If your efforts begin to produce the desired results, we can say that your efforts are bearing fruit. A seed represents something very small that can grow into something big. So if some event plants seeds of hope or plants seeds of jealousy, it means it produces a small feeling that can grow into a stronger emotion over time. Now listen and repeat to practice your pronunciation of the metaphors in this lesson. Lightning fast. The root of the problem. Eyes light up. Eyes are shining with delight. Lighten the mood. Face, eyes, or expression darkens. Dark days. Dark times. Ideas are flowing. Conversation is flowing. People poured or streamed. People trickled. Waves of disappointment. Waves of sadness. A heated discussion or debate. A fiery temper. Tempers flared. Kindle interest, enthusiasm, or hope. Spark outrage or controversy. Gets off to a rocky start. A thorny issue. A romance or friendship is blossoming. Efforts are bearing fruit. Plant seeds of hope or seeds of jealousy. Now take the quiz to practice the metaphor collocations. Lesson 49. Confusing words. We've already looked at a few pairs of confusing words like end and finish, big and large, or fast and quick. Here are some additional verbs that are frequently confused by English learners, with their different collocations explained. Close and shut are the same for doors, windows, mouths, and eyes. Close the door, or shut the door so that the mosquitoes don't get in. It's cold in here. Could you please close the window? Or shut the window? She shut her eyes, or closed her eyes as she began to meditate. Dan's mouth was closed, or shut. Note, the word shut can be used with the word that implies the action was noisy. She slammed the door shut. The wind made the gate bang shut. The phrase, shut your mouth, is a rude way to tell somebody to stop talking. Close, not shut, is used for shops, banks, etc., as well as for airports and roads that are not open or available at a particular time. What time does the bank close? The roads are closed due to construction. The shop is closing in 30 minutes. We use expressions with close to refer to the end of an event or process. Let's bring this meeting to a close. It appears that the economic crisis is drawing to a close, or coming to a close. Messi scored a goal in the closing moments of the game. Gain, win, and earn. The word win means to be number one in a competition, or to receive an award. My soccer team won the game 3-1. I want to win the lottery. John won a prize in the science competition. You can win a game, win a race, win a competition, or win the lottery. You can also win a medal, like in the Olympics, a prize, or an award. In conflicts, you can win an argument, win a battle, or win the war. The word earn means to get something in exchange for your work or effort. Sarah is a famous lawyer. She earns a lot of money. I'm not rich, but I earn a decent salary. My bank account earns 2% interest per month. The salesman earns a 10% commission on every sale he makes. The word gain means to receive or obtain, or to increase. It may or may not be the result of work or effort. I've gained weight since I stopped exercising. Jack's car gained speed as he drove down the mountain. This training has helped me gain insight into modern educational methods. In my last job, I gained a lot of experience. He has gained a reputation for complete honesty in his business dealings. Save and keep. Save is used for conserving something. You can save energy, save time, or save space. It can also be used for rescuing, as in the expression save someone's life. The expression save money has two meanings. To conserve money by paying less. For example, coupons help me save money at the supermarket. It also means to keep money for a long time. For example, I'm saving money for my vacation in December. In this second case, we often say saving up money. The word keep means to maintain something in your possession. For example, if someone gives you a jacket and you try to return it, but the other person tells you to keep it. There are various other expressions using keep in the sense of maintaining or continuing. Keep trying means continue trying. Keep an eye on or keep track of means continue to observe or monitor a situation. Keep in mind means continue being aware of something. Keep in touch means to maintain contact with the person. To keep something clean or safe, or keep someone happy or quiet, means to maintain the object or person in that state. To keep a promise is to do the action that you promised to do. And to keep a secret means to maintain a secret hidden, not tell it to anybody. Spend and pay. You spend money and time. I spent $100 on tickets to the baseball game. We spent 3 hours waiting in line to buy the tickets. You can also spend a period of time, like the morning, afternoon, night, weekend, week, etc. I spent the weekend making repairs to the house. The students spent the afternoon volunteering at the animal shelter. You pay the request, bill, or demand for the money. Pay rent, pay a fine, pay your bills, and pay your taxes. It's also possible to use pay with quantities of money, but we use a different preposition. I spent $100 on the tickets. I paid $100 for the tickets. Now take the quiz and see how well you understand the differences between these confusing verbs. Lesson 50. Everyday verbs. To finish up our study of collocations, we're going to focus on some expressions with everyday verbs. A lot of learners make mistakes with these verbs because the collocations are often different in their native languages. Listen and repeat. Have a baby. Have children. Have a good time. Have a blast. Have fun. Have breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a snack. Have an opportunity. Have an advantage. Take a shower or bath. Take a class, test, or exam. Take a bus, train, or taxi. Take a break or take a rest. These expressions mean pause from an activity in progress. Take advantage of. Take care of. Take action. Pay. In the previous lesson, you learned collocations with pay involving money. Here are some collocations with pay that have nothing to do with money. Pay attention means to give attention or observe. Pay tribute means to give honor or recognition. Pay someone a compliment means to give someone a compliment. Pay someone a visit is an informal way to say visit someone. And pay your respects means to express your admiration for someone. It's often used for someone who has died. Break a habit means to stop doing a habit. Break a promise means you fail to do what you promised to do. Break the ice is an informal expression that means to initiate conversation and social interaction, especially in a group that is a little quiet or reserved. Break the rules or break the law means to disobey the rules or the law. And break the news to someone means to tell someone important news, usually bad news. Catch a cold or catch the flu is when you get sick due to a bacteria or virus transmitted from another person. When something begins to burn, it catches fire. Catch sight of or catch a glimpse of means to get the opportunity to look at something. Catch someone's eye means to make eye contact with someone. And catch the bus, train, or subway is an informal way to say that you went on the bus, train, or subway. Come into force or come into effect means begin to have an effect. Come to an end. Come to terms with means learn to accept someone or something. Come under attack or come under scrutiny. Come close means to approximate someone or something in a specific quality. Get. As you learned in Lesson 36 about changes, get can be used in the sense of become, get married, get divorced, Get drunk. Get pregnant. Get angry. Get scared. Get excited. Get tired. Now take the quiz on collocations with everyday verbs.